This is Mrs. Ibtihaj. Hope you're all doing well, taking care of yourselves, eating healthy, exercising, and enriching your knowledge with the lessons all teachers are providing you on Edmodo. First of all, let me tell you that I'm so proud of you, of the efforts you're putting in studying the lessons on Edmodo and submitting the majority of your assignments on time. And most importantly, let me tell you that I truly miss each and every one of you. Today we'll start a new lesson. It's entitled Dot Plots and Frequency Tables. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to use frequency tables and dot plots to organize data. As you can see, data is a key word in today's lesson. Do you recall what data means? Yes, you're right. Data is the information, usually numerical, that is collected through observations. There are various ways of presenting data. We have picture graph, bar graph, and tally charts, among other ways you learned in previous grades. Today, we will focus on frequency tables and dot plots to organize data. How can we use dot plots and frequency tables to display data?
Let's explore how to use dot plots and frequency tables to display data. Hannah is training for a walkathon. The table shows the number of miles she walks each day. She has 1 day left in her training. How many miles is she most likely to walk on the last day? Frequency is the number of times a data value occurs.
So as you can see in this table, you have different numbers representing the number of miles that Hannah walked. And some of these numbers are even recurrent or repeated. How would we organize this information or this data? Well, we can do so through dot plot.
Look at the table. Many of the numbers are shown more than once. A dot plot is a number line with marks that show the frequency of data. Let's use the data in the table to make a dot plot. Since the numbers vary from 1 to 6, use a scale from 0 to 6. Plot a dot above the mark for 1 for every piece of data for 1 mile.
Some of you may ask themselves, why is it only restricted to 6? Why we did not add till number 10? Well, there's no issue. But the point here is that you need to make your scale in a way that covers the numbers that you need to use. So as you can see in the table, you have number 1 repeated 3 times. So basically, by clicking on 1, I will have 3 dots placed above it.
Since Hannah walked 1 mile 3 times, there are 3 dots above the mark for 1 mile. Now let's plot the data for 2 miles.
So let's count 1, 2, 3. I need to place 3 dots here.
Since Hannah walked 2 miles 3 times, there are 3 dots above the mark for 2 miles. Now let's plot the data for 3 miles.
So the same will be applicable to number 3. We have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here I advise you to cross out the numbers you're using just to make sure that you are counting properly.
Since Hannah walked 3 miles 6 times, there are 6 dots above the mark for 3 miles. Now let's plot the data for 4 miles.
We have 4 2 times. So basically we're going to plot 2 dots.
Since Hannah walked 4 miles 2 times, there are 2 dots above the mark for 4 miles. Now let's plot the data for 5 miles.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to plot 4 dots.
Since Hannah walked 5 miles 4 times, there are 4 dots above the mark for 5 miles. Now let's plot the data for 6 miles.
And finally, we have number 6 repeated 2 times. So I need to put here.
Since Hannah walked 6 miles 2 times, there are 2 dots above the mark for 6 miles. The number of miles Hannah walked most often is the value with the tallest stack of dots. Which value has the tallest stack?
As you can see here, based on the number of plots you have, it's number 3.
The value 3 has the tallest stack, so it's likely that Hannah will walk 3 miles on her last day of training.
So let's recall so far what we have or what we're seeing in front of us now. You have here the frequency table. So by frequency, we mean the number of times a data value is repeated. Accordingly, a frequency table is a table that lists items and shows the number of times the items occur. Here we have the dot plot. It's a graphical display of data using dots as its name suggests. Let's move on to another exercise where we're gonna see how to do a frequency table ourselves.
The table, Lionel kept track of how far he biked each day for 10 days. Use the data to make a dot plot and relative frequency table.
So this is the data we have. Based on this data, let's recall what we need to do. As per the question given, we need first to draw a dot plot. In order to write or to draw this dot plot, we need to make sure that the scale we're gonna put covers all the numbers. Since I have number 2, the least, and number 9, I may have a scale from 0 to 10.
Drag dots to complete the dot plot.
So, do I have any number 0 here? No, so I can skip this number. What about number 9? Also, it's not present in the table. I can skip it. For number 2, let's see, I have it only one time, so I'm gonna plot only one dot above number 2. For number 3, I have it 2 times, 1 and 2. Remember, you can cross out the numbers that you're using. Number 4 is not in the table, so I can skip it. Number 5 is 3 times repeated, so I'm gonna put 3 dots above number 5 and 2. Do we have number 6? Yes, we do. We're gonna put it only one time. It's only one plot. Number 7 is not there. There's no need to put anything. Number 8 is recurrent 2 times. So again, I'm gonna put 2 plots here. Number 9 only appears 1 time. So I'm gonna plot. Before I press check, I need to double check my answers. Make sure that all is correct. I have 2 1 time, 3 2 times, 5 3 times, 6 1 time, 2 and 1. Let's check.
That's right. The 10 pieces of data are placed correctly on the dot plot. You can see that Lionel biked 5 kilometers the most often because the stack of dots is the tallest above the value 5. The first step in making a relative frequency table is to determine the equal intervals to use.
So as you can see, first of all, before we move to the relative frequency table, let me tell you that we call the most value or the most common value in the data set mode. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, this is the data I have, the frequency table I have. This is the dot plot, which has a scale and has a title along with units. Here we have only numbers. And the purple table is called relative frequency table. Now, as you can see also, there are 3 columns in this table. In the first column, we list the intervals. In the second table, we count the number of data values in each interval. And then in the third one, we will do the relative frequency, which is dividing each frequency by the total number of data value. Let's go step by step. As you can see in the first part, we have from 1 till 3. So we will click here.
Start with an interval of the 3 distances, 1 kilometer through 3 kilometers. The next interval is 4 kilometers through 6 kilometers. The last interval is 7 kilometers through 9 kilometers. You can use the dot plot to find the frequency of each interval.
So let's count. How many plots are there in the interval from 1 to 3. We have 1, 2, 3 plots. So I'm going to put number 3. From 4 to 6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 plots. And in the interval from 7 to 9, we again have 3 plots. So let's fill it in this way.
Correct. Lionel biked 1, 2, or 3 kilometers 3 times. He biked 4, 5, or 6 kilometers 4 times. He biked 7, 8, or 9 kilometers 3 times. Now find the relative frequency for each interval.
So again, let me remind you, what is relative frequency? For finding out the relative frequency, I must divide each frequency by the total numbers of data values. Let's count here in the frequency column. What is the total we have? 3 and 4 is 7, 7 and 3 is 10. So we have a total of 10. Now, 3 divided by 10, that would be 0.3. To make it a percent, remember, we need to multiply any decimal number by 100. So 0.3 or 3/10 multiplied by 100 would be 30. The same goes through for number 4. So 4 divided by 10, that would be 4/10 times 100. We'll get 40. And for the last one, it's repeated again. We have 30%.
That's right. Since there are 10 pieces of data, you can divide 3 by 10 and divide 4 by 10. Then you can find the percent for each interval. So 30% of the time, Lionel biked 1, 2, or 3 kilometers. 40% of the time, Lionel biked 4, 5, or 6 kilometers. 30% of the time, Lionel biked 7, 8, or 9 kilometers.
So that's our lesson for today. Till we meet again, stay safe. And don't forget to send me a message if you have any questions or encounter any difficulty understanding the lesson. Do your assignment and submit it on time. Stay safe till then. Bye-bye.